Welcome back to the most lucky people in human history. Today, we're diving into the wild, chaotic, and absolutely insane life of Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States and the man who apparently thought death was just a suggestion. Seriously, this guy dodged bullets, fought duels, survived assassination attempts, and still had time to win wars and become president. If luck were a person, it would be Andrew Jackson. Or maybe he was just too angry to die. Let's find out. Andrew Jackson was born in 1767 on the Carolina frontier, which was basically the Wild West before the Wild West was even a thing. Orphaned by the time he was 14, young Andrew grew up with a chip on his shoulder and a temper that could ignite wet gunpowder. This guy was ready to fight anyone, anywhere, at any time. But what makes him one of the luckiest people in history? Oh, just you wait. Let's start with the fact that Jackson fought in the Revolutionary War as a 13-year-old. That's right, while other kids were playing with sticks, Andrew was out here dodging British bullets like it was a sport. He even got captured by the British, and when an officer told him to shine his boots, Jackson refused. The officer slashed him with a sword, leaving a scar on his face that he wore like a badge of honor. And you know what Andrew said after that? "Is that all you got?" Okay, he didn't actually say that, but come on, it feels like something he would have said. Now, let's talk about Jackson's favorite pastime, dueling. In today's world, if someone insults you, you might subtweet them or leave a passive-aggressive comment. But Andrew Jackson? Oh no, he'd just challenge you to a duel. By the time he was president, Jackson had been in at least 100 duels. Here's the craziest part. In one of his most famous duels, Jackson actually let his opponent Charles Dickinson shoot him first. Dickinson's bullet hit Jackson square in the chest, breaking 2 ribs and lodging near his heart. But did Jackson flinch? Nope. Did he quit? Absolutely not. He just stood there, calmly aimed his pistol and killed Dickinson with 1 shot. Me? I stub my toe and I'm out for the day. Jackson takes a bullet to the chest and is like, meh, I've had worse. And the craziest part? Jackson lived with that bullet near his heart for the rest of his life. Doctors were like, let's remove it, and Jackson was like, nah, I like the reminder. Now let's fast forward to the War of 1812, where Jackson earned his nickname, Old Hickory. Why? Because he was tough as hickory wood and just as stubborn. At the Battle of New Orleans, Jackson led a ragtag group of soldiers, pirates, and even freed slaves to a stunning victory against the British. The British suffered over 2,000 casualties, while Jackson's side only lost about 70 men. But here's the kicker. The battle happened after the war was technically over. The Treaty of Ghent had already been signed, but no one in New Orleans got the memo. Jackson fought the battle anyway, and won. Talk about lucky timing. And now we come to one of the wildest moments in Jackson's life, the assassination attempt. In 1835, a guy named Richard Lawrence decided he wanted to take out Old Hickory, so Lawrence waited for Jackson outside the Capitol with not 1 but 2 pistols. He pulls the first trigger, and it misfires. He pulls the second trigger, and it also misfires. Now, you'd think Jackson would duck and run, right? Wrong. Jackson grabbed his cane and beat the living daylights out of Lawrence, like the Secret Service had to pull the president off the guy. And when the pistols were tested later, both were found to be in perfect working condition. The odds of both misfiring? 1 in 125,000. At this point, I think the universe was just afraid of Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson lived to the ripe old age of 78, which is impressive for anyone in the 19th century, let alone someone who spent most of their life tempting fate. Love him or hate him, and trust me, there's plenty to debate. There's no denying that Andrew Jackson was one of the luckiest, toughest, and most stubborn people in history. So what can we learn from Andrew Jackson? Maybe it's that you should never back down from a fight. Maybe it's that anger gives you superpowers. Or maybe it's that if you're going to lead a life this chaotic, you'd better have luck on your side. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. What's the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you? And remember, if you're ever in trouble, just ask yourself, what would Andrew Jackson do? Welcome to the most lucky people in human history. Today we're talking about a man whose life makes Final Destination look like a cheerful rom-com. Meet Frank Selak, the Croatian music teacher who cheated death not once, not twice, but 7 times, and then won the lottery. Because why not? Let's set the scene. Croatia, a place where our protagonist, Frane Selak, was just trying to live his life as a humble music teacher. Little did he know he was about to become the main character in what can only be described as life's most bizarre game of try to survive this. January 1962, our first chapter in this insane story. Frane's taking a train ride during a brutally cold Croatian winter. Pretty normal, right? Wrong. The train suddenly derails and plunges into an icy river. Now, imagine being in a metal tube, submerged in freezing water. 17 passengers died that day. But Frane? This absolute legend manages to swim to safety with just a broken arm and hypothermia. Someone else might have taken this as a sign to never leave their house again, but not Frane. Fast forward to 1963. Frank decides to try flying. Big mistake. The plane's door malfunctions and Frank, along with a bunch of luggage, gets literally yeeted out of the plane at 33,000 feet. The aircraft crashes, killing 19 people. But our guy Frane? He wakes up in a hospital bed, having somehow landed in a haystack. A haystack! The only person to survive that crash. You'd think after surviving a train crash and getting sucked out of a plane, the universe would cut him some slack. But no, we're just getting started. 1966 rolls around and Frane's taking a bus ride. The bus skids off the road and, you guessed it, plunges into a river. 4 passengers drown, but Frane swims to shore with a few cuts and bruises. At this point, you've got to wonder if he's part fish. 1970. Frane's driving his car when the engine catches fire. Most people would panic, but Frane's probably thinking, here we go again. He manages to escape just before the vehicle explodes. The car's totally destroyed, but Frane walks away without a scratch. 1973, another car incident. This time, a faulty fuel pump sprays gas all over his hot engine. The result? His car becomes a fireball. But wait for it, he loses most of his hair, but otherwise, completely fine. 1995, he gets hit by a bus in Zagreb. Most people don't walk away from that, but Fran? Minor injuries. 1996 brings us what might be the most spectacular near-death experience yet. Frane's driving on a mountain road when he sees a UN truck coming straight at him. He swerves to avoid it, crashes through the guardrail, and his car plummets off a 300-foot cliff. But here's the kicker. Frane gets thrown out of the car and manages to grab onto a tree branch, watching as his car explodes in the canyon below. Now, this is where most people would just accept that they're immortal or cursed or both. But Frane's story has one more twist that makes it even more incredible. 2003, 2 days after his 73rd birthday, Frane decides to buy his first lottery ticket in 40 years. And he wins. We're talking about $1 million. The universe, apparently tired of trying to kill him, finally decides to throw him a bone. Let's break down these odds. Surviving a train crash, 1 in thousands. Surviving a plane crash, 1 in millions. Surviving multiple car explosions, practically impossible. Surviving a 300-foot cliff fall, ridiculous. Winning the lottery, 1 in millions. All of this happening to one person, mathematically impossible. But here's what makes Frane's story even more fascinating, his attitude about it all. When interviewed, he just shrugged it off with typical Croatian stoicism. He said he always knew God was watching over him. Talk about understatement of the century. What did he do with his lottery winnings? In true Frane fashion, he gave most of it away to family and friends, bought a modest house, and married for the 5th time, because apparently his luck extended to love as well. Some interesting facts about Frane that most people don't know. He continued teaching music throughout most of these incidents. He never developed a fear of travel despite everything. Local Croatian media nicknamed him Lucky. He remained humble despite his incredible story going global. Frane passed away peacefully in his sleep in 2016 at the age of 85. After all those spectacular near-death experiences, he went out quietly on his own terms. The ultimate plot twist. The scientific community has tried to explain Frayn's incredible run of survival. Some suggest he had unusually quick reflexes, others point to his calm demeanor in crisis situations. But really, there's no logical explanation for surviving this many deadly situations. So what can we learn from Frank Selak? Maybe it's that life is unpredictable. Maybe it's that haystacks are underrated lifesavers. Or maybe it's that, no matter how bad things get, sometimes you just have to keep jumping out of planes, cars, and buses until you land in a lottery win. Thanks for tuning in to the most lucky people in human history. Drop a comment below with your craziest survival story. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more incredible true stories that defy explanation. Hey, what's up, everyone? Today we're diving deep into one of the most incredible stories of luck and second chances, the absolutely mind-blowing tale of Bill Morgan. Get comfortable because this story is absolutely wild. Picture Melbourne, Australia, 1999. Bill Morgan, a 37-year-old truck driver, was just doing his job, living an ordinary life. But then, everything changed in the most devastating way possible. After a horrific truck accident, Bill suffered a heart attack that would alter his life forever. Now, here's where things get intense. The doctors gave Bill a drug to help with his heart condition, but plot twist, he was allergic to it. His reaction was so severe that his heart stopped beating for 14 minutes. Let that sink in. 14 minutes. Medically speaking, Bill was dead. The doctors were so sure he wouldn't make it, they actually declared him clinically dead. His family was told to prepare for the worst. They were even discussing funeral arrangements. But Bill Morgan had other plans. After being in a coma for 12 days, and this is where it gets crazy, the doctors suggested turning off his life support. His family was literally hours away from saying their final goodbyes. But then, Bill did something that shocked everyone. He woke up. Not only did he wake up, but here's the kicker. He had absolutely no brain damage. Zero. Nada. The medical staff called it a miracle. But wait, the miracle part of this story? It's just getting started. After recovering from this near-death experience, Bill decided life was too short. He proposed to his girlfriend, Lisa Wells, and she said yes. Already a pretty good comeback story, right? But the universe wasn't done with Bill Morgan yet. To celebrate his engagement, Bill bought a scratch-off lottery ticket. A simple scratch card that cost about $1 Australian. And guess what? He won. Not millions, but a pretty sweet car worth about $17,000. Now this is where you'd think the story ends. But nope. A local Melbourne news station heard about Bill's incredible story. I mean, coming back from the dead and winning a car? That's news. They asked him to recreate buying a lottery ticket for their cameras. Just a simple recreation, right? Wrong. While the cameras were rolling, Bill bought another scratch card. And this is the moment that makes this story absolutely legendary. Right there, live on camera, Bill scratched off another winner. But this wasn't just any win. This was a $250,000 jackpot. The footage of this moment is absolutely priceless. You can see Bill's face go from confusion to complete shock. He starts shaking, barely able to hold the ticket. The reporter can't believe what they're witnessing. It's pure, unscripted joy and disbelief.